Amazing. Well, thank you everyone for having us. So I'm Chloe. I'm a senior digital PR executive at Prosperity Media. And a huge part of digital PR is trying to get coverage and links on top tier news sites. So we're super thrilled to have 3 amazing journalists join with us today to help us better understand the journalism industry. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us today. I guess first things first, who are you? What do you cover? Where do you work?
So I'm Maddison Leach. I'm senior features writer at 9.com.au, and my role is really broad. So the stories that I write on any given day can be really varied. Oftentimes there'll be a bit of breaking news. There'll be some long form features that'll be on newsworthy but kind of more in-depth stories. And then there'll be some like quirky, weird ones in there too. You never know what's gonna kind of click with readers. So try a little bit of everything.
So my name's Tileah Dobson. I am from the Daily Telegraph / News Local. We at News Local do a lot more of like the grassroots stories for the Daily Telegraphs. We cover councils, any community stories, a lot of court reporting, that kind of stuff.
And I'm Melissa Woodley. I work for Time Out Australia. So Time Out's in 300 cities around the world, and we kind of specialise in city guides, but in my role, I mainly focus on Australian travel. So every morning I write a few news stories related to Australia in general, and then I spend time writing travel guides or anything related to food and drink, things to do, and arts and culture.
Great. So what makes a pitch stand out in your inbox? Like, is there anything that makes you click instantly, save it for later, anything like that?
I think what really makes a pitch stand out for me is something that's like really easy to digest with a quick glance. I think the thing about being a journalist, especially a digital journalist, is that you are often working on multiple stories at once. You're chasing leads, you're waiting for a phone call from someone. And if I open an email and see a wall of text, it can be really hard to kind of discern like what the story is, who would be interested in it, and like what is actually being offered, whether that's expert commentary, a case study, or new data. So something that will always grab my attention is a really bold, basic brief with, I love a dot point. Like, give me dot points, just tell me what I need to know. That's usually what will get me interested.
Yeah, okay.
For me, the first 2 words of is this an exclusive? So that way I know you're not, dishing it out to other media. And then also if you've got case studies, that saves me time having to chase up my own case studies. If you've got them prepared with a quick little blurb of who they are, where they live, why do they matter in your pitch, and if bonus points if they're happy to be photographed, because sometimes some stories might end up in the paper and we like to take our own photos for some weird reason. So if you've got that kind of stuff, and then also if you're saying, hey Tileah, or, hey, how you going, that kind of thing. I know, okay, we've worked before. This is a bit more personal because I can tell if you've just sent out a massive net to try and catch whatever journalist you can. Yeah.
Echoing the others, a good pitch is quite succinct. I want to know what you're pitching straight away. You can attach a press release. That's really handy, but just make sure it's got imagery. For Time Out, we love like having imagery on hand in case. Tell us everything we know. Include links to if you're pitching me a study or facts. I want to know, I want credibility for that. Case studies are always really good if you have them on hand. A lot of the time I will file pictures and come back to them later. So I just kind of want everything there so I don't have to be chasing you if I do come back maybe a week later and there's a bit of a delay. But making sure. And embargoes are really handy for me as well if you ever have a story and you lead with that in the subject, so that'll get my attention straight away. That's always great because we're so busy every day with so many new things coming in, so having time to prepare a story or write a feature is always really helpful.
Yeah, we found personalisation is like a big one. I guess, Tileah, you said that. Is there anything that kind of keeps you working with a specific PR professional, or like how do you kind of foster those relationships and keep them going?
You go first.
I think for me, it's really about someone who, I think there are 2 things that you can do to make yourself really, really kind of stand out. And I think the two things are, number one, give me everything up front. So if you have data, if you have a report, if you have imagery, if you have case studies, if you have experts, give them to me with the first email. Don't make me chase you and say, hey, you mentioned a report. Can I have the data? Hey, you mentioned there's case studies. Who are they? Do you have imagery? If you give it to me all up front, it makes it easier for me to do my job, which also makes it easier for you to get coverage, which awesome. I think the other thing is just understanding, and I think you guys probably know this feeling as well, that we are journalists. We're not advertisers, and sometimes it is going to be a no. Sometimes a pitch isn't going to work, and having a PR professional who can just go back and go, okay, great, like I'll shout out if there's anything else, is amazing, because there's nothing worse than that feeling of someone really trying to get something over the line and having to just go back and say no 100 times.
Yeah.
To echo that kind of sentiment, if you're coming to me with a pitch that, some storage place has one best business in your local area, I mean, good on you, but that's not a news story. Like, you may think it's a news story, but in reality, it's not. You're a franchise in this small area that happened to get voted. Like, unless there's a story of, this 50 or 60-year-old owner who's been in the business for like 45 years, he's going to retire and this is the best news that's happened. Okay, that's a story. I can turn that into a personal pitch, to my editors who'd be happy, because most journalists and newsrooms break out in hives at the idea of giving you guys free advertisement.
Yeah.
It's just like, there's no way to get around it, and it's being able to give us a pitch that we can go, okay, what are the possible stories we can get out of this? Okay, you're giving me a story about, the number of dog attacks have risen in this one area. Okay, is it just this area? Or has, the Sutherland Shire gotten more dog attacks recently? Has the Hills Shire, Penrith, things like that?
Yeah, I agree with you both. And also, if you, I am always happy to give feedback if a pitch doesn't work for Time Out, because it maybe reads like an ad, it's a story that would read like a commercial content, or it doesn't fit under one of our pillars. So that's a great way to develop a relationship. You can just be like, I'll just be like, hey, this doesn't work for us. And you can just be like, would you mind letting me know why? And then, in future pitches, hopefully that will help us work better together and make sure they're more tailored to whichever side you're pitching to, because every publication is so different. And a lot of people do just blast out pitches, and it's very obvious when that does happen, because you're pitching to a vertical that may be on a competitor website. So it's very obvious to us if you've just put no thought into it. But yeah, it's great to develop a relationship. Once you get to know us better and we get to know you better, pitching and, us journalists, it's a mutually beneficial thing. We love the stories you guys send us. So there are always ways to work together. It's just about figuring out how.
Just to add on that last point too, once you get a working relationship with a journalist, you've worked once or twice with each other, for me, I'll get pitches and I'm like, look, this is a story, but I can't touch it because it's not local enough. However, here are some media outlets who I think might take it. Here are the journos that I recommend you send it to. Go for gold. And it's that kind of back and forth relationship where, they're going to think, I've got this idea, it's going to be exclusive. I know who to send it to, Tileah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, awesome. Are there any common mistakes or kind of turn-offs you see in pitches? Is there anything in particular that makes you delete one immediately? You open it, you see something, it's gone. What's that?
If you greet me in your email with Happy Friday or Happy Hump Day, I'm going to delete it straight away, because I know I won't name this serial offender, but we know every newsroom and News Corp knows who this person is. We all know everyone gets their pitches, including cadets. Who recently this week said, Happy Hump Day, here's a pitch about a horrible child abuse thing. Yeah, it escalated very quickly. We all had a giggle in our group chats going, what the heck was this? Borderline believe this person will snap one day and become a serial killer. But those kind of things where if it's obvious, as Mel mentioned, if it's obvious where, you've just thrown it out to as many people as you can, we're less likely to choose it, because it's well, you didn't think of me in mind. It's not an exclusive to my patch that you thought of, this kind of thing. And if I've got to compete with other people to get this exclusive, it's not worth it.
Yeah, I think the same. I mean, tailored pitches obviously are way better. I think another thing that might make me delete an email if you're including like links to a study where the study was done by like a casino or like some dodgy website. Like, I don't really trust that, and I'm not going to link that in the article. So that's another bit of a red flag for me.
I think for me, there are a couple of like really simple, like common sense things that I think sometimes just get overlooked, like get my name right. My surname is Leach. I often get emails addressed, "Hey Leah," and I'm like, okay. I think another big bugbear as a journalist who has worked at multiple publications is that like I will, to this day, I've been in my current role 3.5 years, I still get pitches saying, "Hey, we think this would be great for insert last publication here." And it's like, I haven't worked there for years. This just tells me that you are either A, working off old information, or B, haven't taken the time to just Google me.
Yeah.
Likewise, I'm sure you guys have had this before where you'll get a pitch that has nothing to do with your beat, nothing to do with your publication. Like, I write primarily news stories, and yet without fail, every month I get a pitch about reviewing a robot vacuum. Yeah. And it's like, I think pitches like that just tell me that the professional behind them either hasn't looked me up, hasn't looked up my publication, and is just throwing things at the wall and seeing what will stick.
Yeah.
I got a pitch the other day about mining up in far north Queensland. I'm like, I'm based in Sydney. Why are you sending this to me?
Yeah. Interesting. Is there anything in particular that kind of encourages you to link to a brand or a client's website? Because for us, I guess digital PR, we're really focused on getting our clients' backlink in there to help their SEO. Is there anything that encourages you, or do you have like policies around that or anything?
I know that we have a policy at Nine that if we are linking back, we use a no-follow link. And if you want to know why, hit up our SEO team, because I don't know, I just do what they tell me. In terms of actually getting a link in there, though, I think it's pretty standard across the teams that I work on that if we are speaking to talent from a brand, from an organisation, especially if they're important talent, like a founder, an executive, we'll link out to that brand just out of, like, I mean, it's kind of common sense.
Yeah.
If you're touting this important person that you got to speak to, you're going to want people to know where they came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much similar thing of way I get around, giving you the sneaky free advertisement in sneaky ways that get past my editors. Don't tell them this. Would be, one was an example, I think it was iSelect. They had done a study on which suburbs are the most safest and which ones are the most dangerous, in the sense of they looked at not only the crime rate, which is the obvious one, but they also looked at, how often do these places have natural disasters? What are the building conditions? Like, how old are buildings and do they stand up to the test of time? And then also, what are the emergency response time for said, natural disaster areas? And they've calculated all that together and put in a nice table. Spoiler alert, Canada Bay is the most safest, and, for New South Wales at least, because they covered all the states, and Townsville was unsurprisingly the most dangerous. And they asked me specifically, hey, can you make sure you mention or link back to the study? And I said, I've got you. Put in a highlighted link of like their name, put it in a new window so they don't go away from my page, my article. They just open up a new one, and boom, if anyone else was interested in more of the suburbs or where their suburb landed on there, they can go back to that.
Yeah.
At Time Out, we also do the no follow, and I'm the same. Like, if there's a study that I can link, like if you've got like more info on methodology and whatever you've got on your website, and there's a dedicated blog post to that, I will definitely almost 100% of the time include a link to that, because that's really important for credibility. A lot of our readers, like for rankings and things, they have a lot of things to say about who came first and who came last. So they really want to dig into how you came up with that those results. But so that's generally when we would include a link.
Is there a time that's best to pitch you a story? Like, how does your newsroom work? Do you have meetings in the morning and so afternoon's actually better, or how does that work?
So with the Daily Telegraph, we have 2 conferences, one in the morning and then one in the afternoon, bless you, and one in the afternoon. For me, my work day is at 8 a.m. and I finish at 4. if you send me pictures throughout that time, I'll take a look at it. If you send it after 4, I'm less likely to look at it because I'm clocking off. Like, that is my work-life balance. See you later. I don't look at the news unless it's interesting. I don't look at my emails, whatever. If I wake up in the morning and I've got a bunch of, pictures in there, I'll take the time to go through, because then I've got to pitch to my editor at 8:30 in our conference. And if it's anything good, I'll be like, hey, cool, Woolies has just announced that they've opened up a brand new e-store in St. Mary's. This is going to cover all these different patches. Sweet, yep, you can take it, go for it.
I personally love a very early morning pitch. I am a morning person. I always have and always will do earlier shifts, so I also 8 to 4. I do find, though, that 9 times out of 10, because most of the newsrooms that I've worked in are working off a global news cycle, we come into work in the morning, the other side of the planet has already got a bunch of news going on that we need to get across. So if I can have pitches in my inbox first thing in the morning, it's really easy for me to kind of scroll through and go, okay, what's going to cut through the news of the day? What's actually going to really work? And then the ones that might not work right now, I leave in there, I come back to at the end of the day and I go, okay, is there anything else in here that might work tomorrow?
Yeah.
I'm also prefer a morning pitch. I write all my news stories generally first thing in the morning. It's best for breaking news and catching up again with what's happened overseas, because Time Out Global generally covers stories before we get the chance to, just because we're asleep. And if you're sending an embargo pitch, over 24 hours would be preferable, because a lot of the time people send it at like 5 o'clock the night before, and that's like, I'm not going to write it then, but it's also like just nice to have a bit of time so that you can know you can get the news up first thing the next morning.
Yeah, cool. Last question from me. Has AI changed the way you interact with pitches at all, or is there anything where you're like, this is so obviously written by AI, I'm not covering it? Is there anything like that AI has kind of shifted the way you work?
A little bit. I have found that, it's not so much AI in emails that bothers me, because I know that a lot of PR professionals are sending out literally hundreds, if not thousands of emails a day. If AI helps them write their, hey, Maddie, hope you've been well, how's wedding planning? Fine, I don't mind. What I've noticed is, especially in kind of... sometimes we're pitched these viral moments. A brand will reach out and say, hey, we've had this incredible viral moment happen. Jacob Elordi was in our store last week and here's the photo. And it's like, I know he wasn't in your damn store. I think that's where, if these brands want to have their little funny viral moment with AI, put in the Instagram caption, oh yeah, this wasn't real, that's fine. But as a journalist, don't feed me AI information pretending that it is a real legitimate viral moment or something that actually happened.
Yeah, because then people might question your credibility as well as a journalist.
100%.
Yeah.
Especially with backing, jumping off that one, we're in an era that, any kind of information we give out can be seen through, fake news, misinformation, that's wrong, because I don't agree with it. And if you're sending me AI generated images of something that definitely did not happen, I'm less likely to trust you. I'm going to block you so I don't get your emails again, because I can't trust that you'll give me legitimate stuff. It's the boy who cried wolf kind of situation. I don't notice any AI in emails. At News Corp, we've taken advantage of using AI for certain things. We developed a thing where I feed it data, downloading crime rate statistics, what's the most crime in Penrith. I give it the data from the Bureau of Crime Statistics and ask a question okay, what was the highest amount of crime in this time period? It'll look through that data I've given it, which is legitimate data, which I love, and it will spit out a summary of yep, the highest amount of crime was car thefts. Not sure off the top of my head, but that's an example. And it was happening in this time period at these streets. Okay, so that kind of stuff, we don't shy away from AI in a sense. We look at it and go, how can we use it to make our jobs a lot easier, a lot better, and sort of legitimize it a bit.
Yeah, I agree with you both again as well. yeah, AI, there are benefits to AI, and I mean, it can help with like making pictures succinct, perhaps. I will agree with the image stuff, like it's very obvious, you know, in terms like that. And I also want to speak in terms of the AI for like a journalist. It's for at Time Out, we're now leaning more into like first person experiences, and showing like we're on the ground. Like for socials, we're doing a lot of face to camera stuff just to show that, you know, that we are reliable people, and build that trust with our audience. So that's kind of a bit of a shift we've had more with our content, in terms of, proving that AI isn't writing what we're writing. Like there are benefits to using it, and it can help sometimes, but we are definitely using editorial discretion still.
Will say, some newsrooms, including my one, have had fun with AI with ChatGPT asking who would win in a rage cage match between Pauline Hanson and Jacinta Price. The winner was surprisingly Pauline, according to ChatGPT.
There you go. Thank you so much again for coming and sharing your insights with us. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Walk down that way.